Where you going, kitty? Oh, okay. She's like, show's starting? I better get off. I'm gonna get in the way. Yeah? Alright. We're gonna have a little guest host, I think, today, chat. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday. We've been visited. We've been visited by the Warhamster. Yeah, thank you for the kind words. Inky's here to say hello. We were visited by the Warhamster last week, in fact, when I put together my notes for this video. However, we talked about the Minotaur and Field Manual, or the new balanced data set update that happened instead. So this is gonna be new. It's a little delayed, but we're here now to talk about it. Welcome in, everyone. We're gonna dive deep into the world of Warhammer Scalpers, which is kind of a whole rabbit hole that I was not expecting to go down. I know that people have had their problems with this quote-unquote profession in the past, but I did not know the extent of their skullduggery. So let's take a look at, for a moment, it's part of the reason behind, or the impetus behind a lot of this video. First of all, we have kits like these, which are called Warhammer Heroes. This one's from last year, but these are a series of limited release grab boxes where you can get, all these individual Space Marine models in a random booster pack, essentially. And which one you get is randomized inside the individual pack. Now, these drops, much like we see with other random packs like Pokemon cards or Magic the Gathering or whatever, have been the source of their own collection skullduggery, I guess. They have stat cards with them? Oh, they have Kill Team stat cards? That's cool. I actually didn't know that. Can you play them in Kill Team? It's kind of neat, I guess. Pretty cool. Yeah, so these are blind boxes, and this isn't the first one they've done. They've done a million of these ones. I think they're really big in Japan, so they have Japanese on them. But they've done like a bunch of different Space Marine chapters. This one, they did a Blood Angels one, I think, at one point that was like explicitly Blood Angels themed. This one's a little bit more generic. They did a Death Guard one, I know, at one point. They do them every once in a while, and basically, like, once assembled, they can build an entire squad out or something similar. The big thing is that usually there's a leader model who's much rarer than the other guys, so the goal is to get to the leader model. But I don't know, it's a whole thing. It's a fun little collector item for people who are interested in that sort of thing. However, it created some consternation, which I found about recently. These are the Warhammer Heroes boxes. Someone went to the store and opened all of them so they could find the one that they wanted. And this is where I started my journey. I was like, wait, this is actually unhinged. That's such a big no-go in tabletop trading card games. Obviously, trading card games have huge security, like tons and tons of sort of security against this happening. They have special kinds of tape that they use, tamper-proof tape that they use for the boxes. They will typically have, like they go out of their way to make sure the foil packs are opaque. In some cases, obviously, there is a little bit of a discrepancy occasionally, but the technology is fairly advanced for trading card games. Tabletop games, apparently not that much. However, someone did say in the comment section here, I don't know if this is true, is that there is a component code that's printed on the, here we go, on the box, which so you can see what's in it. Colorex says don't these have a code on them that like the previous series, so that this isn't necessary. This person says they did, but whoever did this also swapped around all the sprues. So someone went into the store, double checked for the one that they were looking for. I think for the more rarer, like Sergeant, or sometimes they do a Captain model. And then found that one, and I guess just like maybe bought that one, but like had opened all of them up and just slotted them back randomly. You'll never guess which one should be in there. They took the expensive one. Whoa. That's pretty wild, chat. Apparently there's a whole wiki about it. I actually didn't read this page. Toy swapping and the concept of toy collecting. This is, there we go. At first, the practice of buying a toy, opening the packaging, replace the content with another toy or something else entirely, then returning the packaging with the replaced content to the store and claiming money back. Some might consider this theft or fraud. Say you might, maybe. The practice of toy swapping is not limited to Transformers toy lines, but is considered an easy way to get toys for free by fans of all kinds of different toy lines. In recent times, toy swapping has been considered a large part of a larger phenomenon referred to as toy aisle trolling, which includes vandalism inside the store. What the fuck? There's something weird, and it's just the collectability. It has to be, but it feels like there's something weird about these like game equivalent items that just cause people to lose their fucking minds. And I think it's just because like you don't end up with this level of collectability in anything else, right? You're not gonna like Milwaukee's not gonna sell a tool in a limited edition that requires you to buy a blind box for it. So I guess it's like there's just the fact that these kind of things tends to be sort of like, when you think about it, kind of I don't know, sort of juvenile things to begin with, but then the people like just go out of their way to be an absolute scumbag when it comes to getting them. It's crazy. So that's insanely wild. Going into the store and just opening up all the boxes. Now, this has caused quite a bit of backlash in general, not just revolving these Warhammer Heroes. And obviously, the issue of scalping Warhammer 40K limited or early release items has been one that's at the forefront of the community for a really long time, which has caused some people to crash out, including Turnip Surprise. You know what my turnip surprise is when I turn up to the game store and all my surprise boxes have been opened already. Also, is this a Target? All right. So these a Target? I almost bought a, was it like the Space Marine tabletop game? The board game? I almost bought that from Target one time. All right. I know it's in no way unique to 40K, but it feels like we need a long, hard look at our community and how we all act. Everyone hates scalpers, but the resold items always sell out on eBay just as quick. I saw Typhon. This is from when like the hyper adapted and stuff were coming out for Kill Team. This is 9 months ago, so late or mid, I guess, 2025. Going for pre-order, and I thought it would be a nice, neat introduction to Kill Team for my nephew. But of course, it sells out in minutes. a fairly niche box set for two sort of popular factions. Tyranids seem to be my nephew's favorite so far. Games Workshop surely should have printed more. I mean, should they have? You did sort of like of your own accord admit that it's a niche box set for two sort of popular factions. Honestly, outside of their capacity, of all their capacity going into it, scalpers always seem to be able to outpace. More people are buying into Warhammer than ever, and with less self-control than ever. Same with other collection games. It's fine to keep a connection to your childhood toys, but at the levels at which most fully grown men are soaking up all the supply, that buying at inflated prices is genuinely embarrassing. It's true for a lot of stuff. I don't think this is a unique rant, and the little lad will survive without this box of plastic, but clearly too many people in the hobby think it's either okay or B, don't care enough to not to engage with this sort of turn of an activity. So it's interesting too, and the reason that I had never really considered this to be that big of an issue. First of all, I don't really buy a lot of stuff like on release. Usually I will purchase things as I need them when they come up for list construction. So I'm not somebody who's like immediately outside of like new edition or something coming out. I'm not somebody who's like jumps on the bandwagon immediately. Oh, I gotta get it. I gotta get the new box. I don't really care. If the box is good, I'm not gonna buy it. Who cares? But the other thing too is that unlike a lot of these other things, Warhammer's not like, it's not a limited run, right? So when these people are scalping, and we'll go into exactly the mechanics of how they do this, in a little bit later. When these people are scalping, basically what they'll go in to do is they'll utilize a bot to troll the web page, and then purchase the maximum amount as soon as it is listed for purchase. So whatever the total amount per customer is available, they will immediately buy it, right? And then they'll just take it. And what they'll do is like, basically before they've even ordered it, they'll put it on eBay, and so that you can purchase it from them instead of Games Workshop, because the idea being that the supply is limited, so it's going to run out, and so people will just buy it later. Now, all you're doing when you're purchasing from these scalpers in most cases is purchasing essentially like early access or convenience, because unlike a lot of these other things where they are often scalping limited or rare releases, most of the kits from GW will be available in the future, at least for a couple of years, maybe just not immediately. So it's a curious phenomenon to me, because it is what this OP is saying. People are buying with less self-control, and it's fascinating that they go out of the way to purchase these kits to the point where they can fund this entire subculture of people who are scalping, which is pretty wild. People crack open baby boxes at Walmart too. The other thing too is that this whole phenomenon where it's guys who are speculatively purchasing is pretty new. It's certainly not new. I think for like these limited release things, but the fact that it is such a cultural issue right now. I was just watching like I guess a new Pokemon set came out, and that was like a whole deal, because people would go to Costco and then fight over the boxes so that they could crack them and try to get like mythic rares and then flip them, which is crazy. Like, it's not even fun. What are we doing? We're not engaging in the hobby, really. I guess we're like pack cracking. We're just doing it for pack cracking and for like the dopamine rush of hitting it big. But like, other than that, this isn't super. This isn't. We're not purchasing the games to play as games. And it is the case, I believe, that most of the people who do this kind of thing, who buy these in minutes to sell out and flip on eBay, do not engage with the hobby. They're not people who are like, oh, I'm going to make all my money off of Warhammer because I'm a Warhammer fan, and it would be cool if I could do this for my job and interact with Warhammer miniatures and keep track of what's coming out soon. I think a lot of people are not of that persuasion, which is pretty wild. That not only is it enough to sort of fund this sub industry? But also, it's a sub industry of people who are a sub industry of people who are like not otherwise part of the community, which is like blows my mind. We can go back in time a little bit to the release of Sisters of Battle, the new Sisters of Battle from 8th edition. If you missed it, Sisters of Battle had been kind of a joke for the longest time because they had a metal line release from like the early 2000s, late 90s. And it was constantly rumored for 20 years that metal or plastic Sisters of Battle are going to come out. It's going to happen. It's going to plastic next year. Plastic Sisters Battle. And for 20 years, they kept saying that until finally it did actually occur in 2019. Finally, they were like, all right, you guys can get it. And I remember they had this whole thing. It was like the Battle Sister Bulletin, I think. And they would put up like previews and stuff. And they did this whole countdown to the Sister Battle release. But apparently, someone at that time put up the army box available for pre-order for $2,000. Now, this is a pre-order, so this is people who are either scalping or expected to scalp and don't have the item yet, who have put it up for $2,000. Now, this is $1,776. So I don't know how serious this like eBay post is. This might be an eBay shit post because that's like, you know, kind of a important year, I guess. So if it would be a weird one to choose randomly. At least here in the United States. But people complaining at the time, why is so many panicked about pre-orders? Can't you just wait a couple weeks to get it restocked? Which is typically my point. And especially for some things where it's not necessarily a, you know, there are some cases I think where like there are meta transformative releases where if you are a competitive player, getting access to it immediately is very valuable. You know, we'll talk about like Victrix Honor Guard. You want to sell that kit? Give them 4 wounds. That's a way to get those guys off the shelf really fast. Everyone's going to buy them, so they have them immediately. But this was a kit that had a lot of provenance because it was so requested, right? For 20 years, people are waiting for this kit, and then when it comes out, people purchased it, and it was pretty wild. $1,776. Well, it's a guy in the U.S., right? Ships from North Carolina. So it's a guy in the U.S. doing it. So he did it for a reason. It was hard to get, yeah. And a lot of times the other benefit of those kits is that like you get them all in one place, and sometimes they have like unique items in them or whatever, like alternative poses and stuff. But the weird part is like a lot of times it's like the battle force effect where previously it would come out and they were like significant savings over buying the kits individually. And then later on, they would parse those out and they would release them as normal kits, right? And like the Battle Sister Army box turns into the Exorcist and the Battle Sister Squad box and the, you know, whatever, the Sacrosanct box. However, when you're buying them from people on eBay who mark up the price by 50 or 100, or in that case, like fucking, like, what was that? 20x, whatever it was. At least 10x, I guess. Then you obviously you're not saving any money, right? You're just saving a little bit of time, which it confuses the shit out of me. But I think it's the psyche. The people who purchase these are people who are so far removed from myself as a personality that I don't think I have any hope of understanding them. So I just have to accept that it's a thing that happens and is profitable. Not that I understand why it happens. Now, people obviously have taken issue with this practice of purchasing items and then putting them on eBay. So, in some cases, they have taken them upon themselves to do battle with them online. What about hyper adaptive parameters? Can you even get them without buying the big kill team pops? It's just fucking 3D print them, dude. Buy a third party at this point. If they aren't in a box, I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm gonna level with you. Purchasing Warhammer kits is not something that I know anything about at this point. You can purchase a Kill Team Ravener according to this. It costs you $70. Oh, it's currently out of stock. According to Games Workshop, I guess. But it does come in its own box set. It's just currently out of stock. But, like, honestly, if the thing I want to purchase I can't purchase right away and I need it for an event, I'm going to fucking 3D print them. Or I'm going to buy a 3D print off Etsy for $25. Or something, right? I think this whole, like, fear of missing out thing is offset in a big way by additive manufacturing and the prevalence of 3D printing. So it looks like you can get these when they are in stock, which happens sometimes. But I do think that there's a great democratization of the hobby going on right now with the advent of 3D printing, and even, you know, to some extent in the past with proxy miniatures, with like resin miniatures and stuff like that, where you could buy stand-ins or China cast. Where these kits that people could not purchase previously because they were of limited stock or were unaffordable, people have found ways around that. Yeah. Anyway, I think that would be the solution there. Glue some extra arms to your regular Raveners. Yeah, honestly, you could mod your regular Raveners, and I don't think people would bat an eye. It's so hard to like tell which one is supposed to be which in the fucking hyper adaptive squad anyway. I know the special guy, the alpha's got a little spike on his head, and there's like the acid spray guy, but like they're just Raveners at the end of the day. You just paint them a different color. It's probably fine. So let's talk about people doing battle with scalpers. They've taken upon themselves to counterattack. And this was taken up in this incredible thread, which is amazing. So, Poppy Apple Tree over here, old wholesome Poppy Apple Tree, had a run-in with this seller on eBay, Goldfish Blue, who was reselling the Gallowfall expansion for Kill Team for 400 GBP. I'm interested in, just to iterate how big the uptick is here. What are we upcharging? So the MSRP for Kill Team Gallowfall was 185 USD. Which at the time of recording is 137 British pounds, meaning that this kit was upcharged 300%, at least based on the current exchange rate at the time of recording. This is a couple of years ago, but, you know, obviously it's somewhere in there. It's probably 300% of what it was originally to purchase. Crazy. And that's the amount of money that these people are stand to make. Like, you could 3x your money by doing this. Wild. Absolutely insane. Investment bankers, take notes. Poppy Appleseed here has left a message. It's a whole thing here. Hi, I'm a bit puzzled by this. You've got a model listed at 100 pounds, which based on completed listings, no one is going to pay. You have an acceptable offer set so high that you won't get any offers for it. I'm already burnt through my offers on auto declines on realistic amounts. I recommend you look at completed listings and find a sticker price that will actually sell. Metal version with all the components sold for 30 pounds. That's worth more than this even in the box, because fine cast is notoriously bad quality. So what he was doing was, I guess this is an out of production Dark Eldar fine cast Archon. Which was the old like guy who was with the soul gem. was a cool model, honestly. There we go. And I think this one got replaced by the plastic one last edition. The plastic one is like kind of shitty. They released the new kit this edition, which was really cool. Let me, here we go. So it's this Archon. It's this guy. Oh, it's a cool model. We can all agree, kind of neat looking. Would I pay 100 Great British Pounds for it? No. Fuck no. But worth something? Maybe. I don't know. Pretty neat. We like them. So Poppy Appleseed over here says, I want to buy this Archon. It's out of production. It's only available in Finecast. You can now buy plastic ones, but I don't want the plastic one, which looks bad. Honestly, the plastic one from last edition looks terrible. I didn't like it. So I want this old one with the cool gem and the cool husk blade. Poppy Appletree says, or Goldfish Blue, the seller says, good for you. It's like, listen, man, I'm trying to send you offers for this thing to purchase it at the same cost as other similar purchases. Can I do that? Goldfish Blue says, no, fuck you, basically. Goldfish Blue apparently then follows up again. It's a little hard to parse the discussion here because this feels like a double message. I don't know. Who has the experience here? Poppy Appletree with 9 items for sale, or Goldfish Blue with 10,000 items for sale. Who has the 250K PA turnover? And who works at McDonald's for 8K PA? I don't know what the fuck that means, but is that pay annually? Maybe? Now go crawl back under your rock. So Poppy Appletree came up and said, hey, I would like to purchase a Dark Eldar Archon for not 100 pounds. Goldfish Blue says, excuse me, sir, I have 10,000 items currently listed. He just does the Ron Swanson. I know more than you. Now go back to your job at McDonald's. Absolutely unhinged response. Poppy Appletree says, I've bought from you before and likely would have done so in the future. That kind of passive-aggressive response. Oh, is this out of order? This is confusing. I'm not really sure what the order here is. It seems like we got 2 messages from Goldfish Blue. One of them was passive-aggressive, and the other was hyper shitty. And he's responding to the one where he says, very good for you. Either way. So that kind of passive-aggressive response is honestly unwelcome. All you're doing is alienating a customer. Goldfish Blue says, yes, I alienated yourself. You alienated yourself with your message, and you will find yourself blocked next time you try to lowball me on one of my items. You bought 2 items from me in the past. Well done. Have a biscuit. I can do without customers like you. Holy shit. Literally just say, the price is not negotiable. The minimum order bid is the minimum. And then, just fucking leave it there. But this guy goes scorched earth on this person. Oh, you bought 2 items from me? Cool, man. Fuck you. I don't need your business. I make 250K Prince Arnold's. Or whatever. Whatever PA means. So I don't need you. Poppy Appletree says, right, that message was definitely abusive. In response to the one where he talks about Poppy Appletree going to work for McDonald's. Goldfish Blue says, do not message me again or I'll drop a lawsuit against you for harassment. I'll make all my scalping money. I'll get you. Pretty wild, chats. Poppy Appletree says, I think it's been more than that, but eBay's history does not extend particularly far. They talk about the number of purchases he's made from Goldfish Blue here. I'll definitely be reporting for you for this. There's absolutely no reason to jump to abuse. Incidentally, I've lowballed you because your prices are frankly outrageous. Goldfish Blue says, report away. You asked to be reported yourself with your message. I predict eBay will come down on jealous little seller for his harassment of big seller. He's trying to buy from you, bro. He's not trying to sell. This isn't a thing about selling. I mean, I guess in some cases he's criticizing him for his price setting. But it's like, all I want to do is buy a fucking model. Please let me. Bobby Appletree says, I think it's been more. Excuse me. This is in response to the previous message. Golden Blue says, glad that's ended our communication. Absolutely fucking unhinged. Imagine holding it over somebody else's head. You're like, I make so much more money than you, and this is how you conduct your business. Where you're like, you just like absolutely lay it in onto people who are trying to send you offers. Fucking crazy, dude. PEBGAG PA means per annum. They make $250K a year. Okay, I mean it's good, I guess. It's not like the craziest money I've ever seen in my life, but it's all right, I suppose. Responses are pretty great too. Funny that dickhead is trying to flex your turnover against a salary I can only assume they made up. All right, guys, I make $250K a year. You make 8. Yeah? You got receipts for that, my guy? You can see for yourself. His company accounts from company's house. It's a micro company, so he doesn't have to submit audited accounts by the looks of things. Oh, access denied. I don't know why I clicked on that. That was dangerous. Should have done that off the stream. This is a fairly old thread, so I think some of the links here may not work. There's a bunch of legal stuff that I can't pretend to understand. People talk about. It's funny, kind of funny. He thinks people at McDonald's only make $8,000 a year. I work at a hospital. I earn less than standard employees, and it's hell of a lot more than $8,000. $8,000 is like literally criminal, by the way. Right? Because minimum wage, even 3 years ago, where I am, I think minimum wage is like $13 an hour. So it's like 500 some odd a week. Times 52 weeks should be 27K. So he lowballs the minimum wage by like 3 times. Dude's so out of touch, he has no idea like how salaries work. Nice Vansbro says Goldfish Blue is notorious and hated by the old hammer community. Nobody ever buys anything from them because they charge too much and they're a massive funt. I've never seen that before. I'm gonna start using that. That's good. I hope it's not like a racial thing. It's a trail, I guess. It's a trail race. Interesting. Goldfish Boo is a notorious waste of oxygen who shafts and scams left and right and center on eBay. I see him pop up all the time. I'm interested to see if this account still exists. Goldfish Blue. Let's take a look, Chance. Can I see it in sellers? I can't find it. Chat, I'm striking out. Oh, maybe I did find it. Oh, I did. Just kidding. I searched on Google. I found it. Oh, man. Let's look at some of these prices. The Sacrosanct Aveline, $215. Fuck me. Old Commissar Yarrick for $80. I feel like that's actually reasonable. I bet that guy he's got a lot of those going. Forge World stuff. Horus Heresy stuff. Throg the King of Trolls for $250. Finecast Lilith. I do have a soft spot for Finecast Lilith, but I think that the new model's like, it's so much better. It's like not gonna break immediately. Upcharging significantly for old Finecast is like, I don't know, kind of so funny. Like a Stern Guard Veteran Squad for $200. Really? Is that in high demand? I guess like in some cases, old Warhammer stuff. I don't think it holds its value quite as well as other things, unless it's really super old. Like a squat exo armor, I kind of get it. $800 though, Jesus fuck, holy shit, crazy. Gundabad ogres for $200. Painted white scars assault marines. These are Sternguard veterans. Don't even know what you're selling. For $154. And they don't look that good. This always gets me too. I bet there's there's probably a whole video in here. Yeah, it's just like slap chopped, like the most basic slap chopping job of all time. There's a video in here to go over pro painted stuff on eBay. I think there's like that's a whole industry. So this is like 2 or 3x an upcharge for this paint job. Okay. That's an undercoat and a dry brush, my guy. We didn't even put a highlight on these fuckers. We literally just dry brushed them. All right. Well, okay. That's worth $100, I think. Right, chat? Everybody agree? All scalpers boomers? I mean, maybe. You never know. All right. Let's move on. So, in response to this backlash, right? There was a great public outcry a couple of years ago to this sort of business practice. And so people continue to have these incidents with scalpers where they will complain about upcharged things on eBay, and they'll get pushback, including Science Pie on Reddit, who sent this. Now, this is a little incomprehensible. These are purchase receipts for Games Workshop like pre-order purchases on their credit card. This is a screenshot from a video. We'll go to the video in a sec, but you can see what is this weird Discord thing here? What the fuck is that? We'll talk about that in a sec. Now, this is from this person who has a Twitter account called Games Workshop Cancel and Refund. I don't know what that means. Feels like we're probably doing some sort of scam, but this person just goes through and brags when they get big purchases or sales. Now, they only did this a couple times, and I think it was as a response to people who are complaining about this business practice. People would be like, "I don't like this," and this is where the original screenshots come from. They're like, "I don't like this. What the fuck?" And so this dude just replies with how much money they are currently spending and making. Now, I went through the video, and I was interested in that exact thing right there. What is this little Discord message? Not that one. That's Snapchat. What's this? What's this little thing? Can we full screen this so we can see? No, we can't. It's cut off. Cool. I love that. Let's do a zoom. A little zoom. A little zoom in there. Here we go. So there's this little thing pops up at the top here. What is this? That's interesting. Adidas Originals Campus 00 Gun Sale Trainers in Black. I was like, huh. That's curious. That's a curious account. What is that? As it turns out, Chance, that is the heart of this whole operation. Now, this is one particular service that this person is using, but I'm sure that there are a bunch of these. That is from something called the Paragon Network, or the Paragon Network. It's Paragon misspelled. P-A-R-A-G-N. And this allows you to sign up. This is specifically for sneakers and other collectible items. They advertise sneakers, but I think the idea is that they also sell other like limited release stuff. And essentially, whenever a new limited release drop is planned, you will get a notification on Discord, like we saw in that video. And you can go and you can use a robot to purchase many of them and then flip them. So this is not just someone who's like, oh, I think it would be cool to resell Warhammer stuff, and then they end up getting into scalping. This person likely sells from a bunch of different channels, a bunch of different collectible items, including, potentially sneakers and miniatures, who knows, trading card game stuff, whatever, all this stuff. Everything with a limited, like a FOMO release, there is this whole subculture that's supported by communities and by services that facilitate this kind of sales. And it's crazy. This website has people who are bragging about their total sales recently. Another year done. I sold, it cost $19,000, sold $25,000, made $5,000 over a year. It's not that many. Okay. Jake over here says I started selling in December and was to put 500 in a Revolut account, see how far it goes. Apparently made $15,000 in sales. I think once you, it seems like in most of these, I guess Warhammer might be particularly lucrative. That's probably why this happens. Because this, like, as we saw, that guy was like upcharging by 300%. These ones do feel like they are not quite as profitable. It's still money. They are still making money, but it does feel like the upcharge is not quite as impressive as it can be for Warhammer 40K. And we'll see if that ends up if that ends up continuing. But I was shocked to find that basically this business plan can be just bought into. All you do for these people who are like this is you hop into this service and you pay them a monthly fee. I think it wasn't a lot. It was like $50 to get into their Discord server, and essentially their Discord server automates updates whenever new drops are announced. They also, I think, advertise that they have support for like bots that can troll and auto purchase websites for you, and that might be an additional purchase. So there's like definitely some setup required, but it's a whole thing that this community facilitates, which is crazy. This has created such an issue that Games Workshop last year actually was forced to respond. To the point that last year, when the Siege of Terra Era of Ruin anthology was released, scalpers attempted to use those bots to bypass their normal purchasing safeguards. They pulled the entire Warhammer website offline to deal with it. So this is not just a purchasing issue. This also potentially has actual safety effects on the normal use of the website. This means that they were pausing the launch of Era of Ruin and removed it from Warhammer.com for the time being. Don't worry, it's still coming. We're absolutely determined that real fans get it. And this is not the only time, by the way, that Games Workshop has instituted responses to this kind of like this, pre-selling, essentially, this pre-purchasing. If you're a real-life flesh and bone fan of Warhammer of Horus Heresy, you want to get updated when the relaunch happens, subscribe to the email list. We'll make sure you're the first to know. If you're not an abominable intelligence. I didn't actually take it down in my notes, but when the 9th edition... Let's see if I can find it. When the 9th edition... here we go. Oh. Oh, dang. When the 9th edition starter set for Warhammer 40K came out, there was a big announcement that I think Games Workshop originally had it up for a standard pre-order and then changed their policy. See if I can find an announcement for it, because I know they existed. I should have put it down in my notes, but I didn't think about it. Yes, there we go. So this is a Gamer article, The Gamer, that announcing that Games Workshop scaled down the maximum number of copies that could be purchased of the Indomitus box, which is the 9th edition starter set. That was Necrons and Space Marines. Obviously Space Marines. Space Marines always in there. From 6, which is the original number, down to 3 in order to curtail this automated pre-purchasing. This is an obvious attempt to get this release into the hands of as many fans as possible and out of the greasy paws of scalpers. So Games Workshop themselves have attempted to try to curtail this issue, but they have not entirely been successful. But it goes to show how far this has gone, where Games Workshop, a company often reticent to respond to things happening, has actually done stuff about it, which is pretty wild. Obviously, that has not entirely worked, as we can see, but they're trying. They're doing their best. Remember getting the notice and pre-ordering? Cool. The Trustpilot top review is someone complaining about membership fees on Paragon. Paragon? I shouldn't call it Paragon. I think it's supposed to be Paragon, but they needed to spell it correctly. It's Paragon. The old Paragon network. Can you use a service to buy just one of something because you can actually get it before scalpers buy it all? Honestly, probably. You probably can. You get the notification immediately. You're just like, I'm in, boys. Let's go. All right. So now, fortunately for us, Games Workshop is not the only one fighting back against this kind of business practice. The community has also come together to facilitate the perfect response to this issue. It's absolutely infallible. There is no way that this could go wrong or cost people lots of money or create issues. Now, this person has since deleted their account. Fair enough, I guess. But this person says we could ruin the scalpers. We could ruin them. Scalpers have been a scourge on our community for too long. It is time to fight back. We shall take to the streets, dear friends. Once more into the breach. I had an idea that might be dumb, says OP, but I thought my idea would get lost in the comment section of that one guy's post about stopping scalpers. I'm sure there's a million of those, so I didn't know which one that was about. To keep it simple, what if we all bought the new products and then we sold them on eBay? What if instead of scalping, in order to beat the scalpers, we just scalped? What if we did that? Wouldn't that be better? Now, he does say for the price that we bought them, which means you're just paying eBay. you just pay transaction fees, and then you just pay eBay their fees, and then that's it. We would lose nothing. We'd lose nothing, except for eBay fees. Don't worry about that. And transaction fees, and probably shipping costs. Don't worry about any of that, though. We would lose nothing, since we'd recoup our losses. The scalper market would be filled with super low-cost units. Just put up tens of thousands of your own money at great risk with literally no upside. I know this online community is small compared to the wider Warhammer community, but I imagine the scalper community is also small. The one hole I can't feel here, maybe scalpers just buy them on eBay listings that we place at reasonable prices. What if they just bought it from us, but then we'd make our money back, so that would be okay. And then they just sold it for the same amount. I don't know if we are... I honestly, I don't think a single more perfect solution could possibly be arrived at. I think that this is it. We've solved the problem. All everyone has to do is spend enormous amounts of their money, tie it up in what is effectively a depreciating asset, sell it at a loss, and go through all of the trouble of packing and shipping product, probably to the people you're trying to beat, you're trying to lowball, at literally no profit. There's no upside here, beyond that you just get to stick it to the scalpers, who you're probably also just sending it to, because they'll buy it from you. I don't see how this could possibly go wrong. And also, I think everyone will do this too. That's the crazy thing. It's so easy it requires so little investment of time or capital that anyone can do it. And so, like, I should start doing it. Everyone in chat, you should all start doing it. It's basically the simplest solution, and it solves the entire problem. It's about sending a message. Practical Purchase 9 says, what if we bought all the new products and sold them on eBay? Isn't that the problem? I love this thread. This is so good. Isn't this the problem? Isn't the issue that we can't buy the products? If we could buy them, why would this be an issue? So if I wouldn't need to defeat the scalpers if I could just purchase it on pre-order normally. The problem is that they came in and they pre-ordered already. So what we have to do is adopt their tactics. We have to use the bots and the Discord servers that we pay for. Visible Expression said, dude just wants to be a scalper. Let them feel the anxiety of trying to buy it faster than bots at midnight. Gray Heresy says, and this is actually probably based, here's how to ruin scalpers, don't buy from them. Yeah. The downside is that, like, it's obviously it's a kind of an endemic and systemic problem. I think the real way to ruin scalpers is to 3D print all your shit, and FOMO boxes don't do anything. Y'all see it? We'll talk about that here on Blackheart in a sec, because I think that's pretty reasonable. That's a good discussion to have. If it's still up online, it might be taken down at this point. The Huron Blackheart gate. Besides this hinging on you beating the scalpers, it costs time, fees, and shipping. You can't move the product to zero cost. I'm sure GW would pay you a lot of money if you figured out a way to do it. Yeah, figuring out a way how. Oh boy. We've had suggestions in the past. It just causes problems for other people in a different way. The main problem hinges on society being online and non-social, not just the scalpers. You just warp warp to transport the goods direct to consumer. AI androids manage fabrication and logistics. Literally nothing can go wrong. 100% profit, 0 expense. Incredible. I loved this. I think this is a perfect idea. Why don't we just scalp, chat? That would show them. That would learn them. Now, interestingly, to round out this discussion, so here's the thing. I don't know. I don't think that this is like an easily solvable issue, obviously, right? This is not something that's easy to do. The tools are widely available. As you can see, you could get them with a subscription service. And the people who are doing it, the real kicker here is that the people who are doing it are approaching it not as a hobby item, right? Everyone, the end user, the people who actually want the kit, is like, I want one so I can play with it because I think it's neat. The person who is approaching this from a business standpoint has the resources to throw at it. So, you know, we're talking about all these issues with, you know, being able to get them ahead of time and dealing with fees and shipping and all this stuff. But the person who is purchasing them at quantity has the capital to do that because this is effectively a business for them, right? They are investing from a base of a capital base, right? In order to then make a profit by reselling. So the resources that they have to throw at a problem from, you know, being an actual business are way higher than someone who is simply purchasing for fun. So anything where, you know, you're trying to outcompete these people is not going to work if you are not also making a similar amount of money on the end product, because you simply won't have the capital to do it, right? So like direct competition doesn't make any sense. It's probably like, you know, there's probably some sort of like software things you can do to mitigate the ease at which bought software can purchase online. I don't know. With the this probably compounds a million times over with like AI being able to probably go through purchase funnels for you. I imagine that that's already exists. Yeah. So anyway, I had another point and I forgot what it was. But yeah, so I want to round out that discussion on this topic with a really interesting thread from someone who has a ton of experience in this line of business. ChatGPT or equivalent can help us solve the problem. ChatGPT, how do we prevent scammers from buying Warhammer goods? Let's ask. How do we stop scammers, scalpers, from buying Warhammer 40k pre-orders before customers get them, can purchase them? ChatGPT, help me. Solve all my problems immediately for me, please. If you could, that would be great. ChatGPT has Q systems with bot detection. Okay, fair enough. Use a CAPTCHA. Account-based purchase limits. Use a lottery. Oh boy. Local store priorities. This always goes wrong. Because I feel like every time we talk about this and the issue is that like poor brick and mortar stores, I cannot imagine how difficult it is to run a fucking hobby store. I have no idea. It must be the most stressful fucking low income like or low overhead, I mean, like business, right? You do it out of love, but like holy shit, when you're talking about these like huge big box pre-orders and every company in the world wants to say, hey, we love our brick and mortar stores, we want to support them over top of online sales because that's where the community meets and that's how you get new players in and all this stuff. Like the amount of support that they give to the hobby in general, it would not be available. It would not work without brick and mortar stores. But it's so much easier to just pre-order something online. You make 100% of the profit. You don't have to send it through through a distributor. You don't have to ship it anywhere. You just ship it directly to the consumer. You can do it faster. You can do it easier. And these brick and mortar stores have to go through the fucking ringer to get it done. So they make, if you were to sell directly from Games Workshop, they would make 100% of the profit and you would not have any third parties involved. Whereas if you go through a brick and mortar store, the brick and mortar store has to pay, they have to like go through all this overhead. They have to hold inventory, which sucks. And then also they have to buy it from a distributor who's already taking a cut. Fucking crazy. And the number of times I see it where they just get fucked also, where it's like, oh, we were supposed to be allocated a certain number of units and we just didn't get them is crazy. That feels bad. Require non-refundable deposits to reserve a pre-order. I don't know how that changes anything. Then you just do it the normal way. People will just do that. That's just buying. That's just pre-purchasing. Just cancel the suspicious orders. This is significantly less fun than talking about big game balance. I don't know. Those are sort of dry responses, to be honest. Have we seen how the Pokemon TCG is doing with Scalper? Spoiler, not good. Yeah. They've turned the Pokemon trading card game has turned into a meme in response to scalpers and card flippers. All right, so let's talk about this thread from 6 months ago. I think this is fucking fascinating because I think this encapsulates this. This gives so much information. This is so cool. From Roger Larsam, who says, "I bet this post." This isn't a post a lot of folks expected, but I think it's important to get another viewpoint on the hobby. For context, I have been involved in my local Warhammer community for about 3 years, and I've been selling Warhammer for 2 of those. I am not an official store. I sell secondhand Warhammer, built, primed, and painted, with some new in box, due on sprue. It doesn't make a lot of money, but enough so that I don't feel the pinch of tuition bills as much, and I can happily provide for my pet ferret. Fucking wholesome as hell. My primary market is basically anything except eBay. I won't say specifically, as I'm not here for customers. Now, 90% of the time, this has been a wonderful experience. I've been overjoyed to help people build their dream lists and sell them at well below market prices. To the point that probably a third of armies I play against locally have some models that I sold. That is an incredible experience. The other 10%, however, it relates to one of the weirdest phenomenon I've ever witnessed. The Warhammer community seems to love to force people to charge top dollar. And this is a fascinating take. What do you mean by that? Let's take scalping, for example. I see people on eBay sell items for twice what they bought them for a week after the pre-order drops and is sold out. Clearly, this is a bad business practice and harms the community. Well, I mean, it's good business practice for the business, but obviously less for everyone else. And they get hate for good reason. The next day, I see someone sell an old Battle Force from 2 years ago for 20 to 30% more, and they get an equal amount of hate, despite waiting so long for an item no one can find for a better price. How does this end? They use eBay, joining the endless ranks of top-end scalpers. Now, you might say it serves them right. They won't get a sale now, but it's not true. They will sell transfers for old Battle Forces on eBay. You see an empty storefront and then check sold. They always sell, but instead of $260, it's $380. I'm not saying this in defense of scalping, nor do I participate in this myself. I am pointing out how the community seems to believe eBay is a graveyard where sellers go to die. It is not. It is where sellers go to sell at top dollar with few opportunities to receive hate mail. So what he's saying essentially is that instead of essentially allowing people to hold on to items, right? He's and then, you know, sell them at sort of a normal price. They essentially are so he's saying that they take old items from years and years ago that they've held for a while. They still sell them at an upcharge, but they get hate, which means they are more incentivized to sell immediately, right? There's no incentive for not selling immediately for the highest possible price point because they will still sell, but at a lower price point. So instead of items appreciating in value, they will effectively depreciate, which means that what you should do, best business practice, is to take your box and sell it alongside all the scalpers for the maximum upcharge, right? So instead of being able to hold older items and then sell them at an upcharge later on, when the demand is much lower for them, you should always sell at the point at which the demand is the highest. Which is, I guess, just like, it's a, you know, I guess mostly how business works in hindsight. The next day, I still see someone sell an old Battle Force. Oh, no, we already talked about that. I'm not saying this in defense of scalping, nor do I participate in it myself. I am pointing out how the community seems to believe that eBay is a graveyard, so it goes die. We talked about that already. I already covered that sentence. So to unpack everything, my main points boil down to this. If you want to have well-priced Warhammer, stop forcing eBay onto sellers. It promotes the top dollar pricing. I don't really understand this point. Stop forcing eBay onto sellers? What's the alternative? I don't get it. If you see someone scalping, I guess he's saying like you should do like in-person trades more, or like buy on like market websites or something. If you see someone scalping, treat them proportionately to what they are doing. Someone who sells 1 or 2 items, a blue moon from years back, is not the same who is using bots to auto buy 10 pre-orders and then sell them at insane prices. I guess this feel a little defensive. Like he sold a Battle Force or like a box set at like a little bit above MSRP, and somebody like gave him shit for it, and he was like, "Why am I doing this?" Edit. I am not saying do not use eBay. I'm saying don't try to act like eBay hurts sellers, and therefore spending there or sending them there is effective. It is fueling the ranks of high-end scalpers and is hurting people's ability to sell at more reasonable prices. Yeah, it's sort of as a market. It creates a market where the rates are higher than MSRP, right? And so because it's a competitive platform, it ends up driving it basically encourages you to price similarly to the other sellers there. There is no incentive if you are going on eBay to sell at less than what the market rate for an item is, right? Like obviously, like, you should try to undercut, but there's no reason to undercut by more than a couple of percentage points in order to drive traffic. So, like, if someone's selling that box set, if the Goldfish guy is selling a box set at $400 at a 3x upcharge, then there's no reason for you to sell it for significantly less than $400, right? You're not going to go to $200 because you could make an extra $150 by selling it at $300, and you would still be competitive with the market, I believe, is the point. It feels like it's a little bit roundabout, but I think that's what this guy is saying. If anyone has any questions related to the subject, I'd love to explain more in depth. I'm interested in talking about where the comment thread here. I think it's gonna be interesting. Whether it be about these topics specifically or other facets of what I do, ignore this. DM me insults, downvote to oblivion, whatever you want to do to feel good about yourself. Thanks, Reddit. You got 755 upvotes, which is cool. Low in Heart says Facebook Marketplace is inundated with scammers and brazen openness of which they try kind of shows how successful they are. If you're stupid enough to PayPal to trade a stranger without buyer protection on, that's on you, but please buyer beware. Yeah. If you've never done business with somebody before, do not send them friends and family PayPal. that should go without saying. Absolutely do not send them as a friends and family, because that is non-refundable. Whereas if you pay as a good or service and then don't receive the service, PayPal can step in for you, which is helpful. It takes 1 ounce of common sense to avoid scammers on Facebook. I mean, I guess so. I wouldn't say it's like, if somebody's selling something on Facebook and then you pay them and then they don't send it, it's like, well, is that common sense, or did I just, like, literally he just lied to me? There are several big Warhammer buy-sell groups who maintain pretty protective guidelines. Local Dragonfly says it's not even remotely difficult. Scammers won't have a real account with years of photos, and they won't have a marketplace rating, and they won't agree to PayPal goods and services. Interesting. I do think that, generally speaking, people saying that like scammers on Facebook and stuff or Facebook is like inundated with scammers. But I do think in general, as in most instances, like the proportionality of scammers to like scam posts to real posts is very small. So you're like, oh, I bought 25 items on eBay and people, and I've never had a bad interaction. Well, sure. But like, it's like a 1% chance or whatever. So it's like in 100 interactions, you might get scammed by somebody. Mazentius here has some criticism for the OP, which I think I do understand. The point where he kind of like sort of went in on eBay, I don't know if I totally understand. He wants buyers to stop using eBay and refuses to tell buyers where he sells. Well, back to eBay I go. Apparently, he made the post because a mod on Miniswap told him offhand he could sell on eBay. OP says that was more of a reminder. I actually get it more on Facebook Marketplace than Miniswap, but it serves the same purpose. If the community truly prefers the 80% MSRP of eBay than 60% everywhere else, that's their choice. They should stop complaining about exorbitant prices. It's so weird. Is that a common sentiment? This feels like this guy definitely had an interaction where somebody was like, to be clear, I appreciate the commentary of this thread, right? Where it's, it's this idea that, like, there are basically 2 separate marketplaces for reselling of Warhammer stuff. One of them being if you are a little bit more ad hoc, right? So it's like through a marketplace or a buy and trade or a barter system, right? The other one being eBay, which is much more corporatized and sterilized, which means it's safer, but also means that there is like you pay a premium, right? Like eBay eats a lot of fees and stuff. At the baseline, the fees on eBay are going to drive up costs for things, right? They're going to have to drive up the overhead on any of these people who are selling there. It also means that because it's like a marketplace, you are competing with other people in the marketplace. And so the fact that the prices are higher tends to drive prices even higher. I think that's an interesting observation. This thing where this guy has this like chip on his shoulder about eBay is really weird. I don't understand. He's sort of lost me there, to be honest. That was a reminder of this event, he says. I actually get it more on Facebook Marketplace and Miniswap. It serves all the same purpose if the community truly prefers. Blah, blah, blah. We talked about that. Mortal Sword MTG says, the mod told you he wasn't looking for you to debate, and you replied with a novella. Your posts are a wall of text and then a further wall of models without prices. You're not making it easy for people like myself to conduct business with you. I personally avoid the obvious shops, and your post makes you look like a shop. I mean, he basically does say that he is there. This is wild. This is like a whole crash out. This is on the Warhammer 40k subreddit, by the way. I did not dig this deep into the comment section when I first looked at this thread. I thought it was just an interesting observation. But Praise Shock here comes in. I am the evil mod in question. We don't police pricing in Miniswap. I'm not entirely sure what community he's selling in that yells at him for decent pricing, but it isn't Miniswap. My only request is that he quit asking people to upvote his posts to help him. That does feel a little weird. The whole idea of the subreddit is that everyone's post gets their 15 minutes in the spotlight and then others bump them out. My point is that if he wants to be in the spotlight instead of being just another user on the subreddit, eBay is the thing. And that was the extent of my eBay commentary. I want to link to this original thread. Can we see? I bet we could. Maybe we can find it, chat. This would have been like 6 months ago on r/Miniswap. Oh boy, politics stuff. Yikes. That's fascinating. All right, he replied into his own thread a billion times. Oh, we found it, chat. There's so much lore to this. I did not appreciate. I can't believe it. Another week, another Warhammer post. It never stops. Says this is the OP from the other thread. Regarding my enduring happiness, please upvote if you like seeing large lots of Warhammer at good price. Please upvote me. Please. Please. I want to sell to you. Please. Regarding splits, I will entertain split requests. I guess like he just posts massive lots of models. Okay, just a bunch of models. Look at them all. Look at that. Those look like they're in good condition too, even. Wow. It sure is a shoebox full of models. That's an orange crate full of miniatures right there. That's what I'm looking for when I go to purchase my Warhammer 40k minis. So then he posts about 10 pages worth of models. Holy shit. This is the part that always gets me about reselling stuff. Like, I definitely have stuff I should resell, but I'm just like, fuck. Like, categorizing it and listing it all? Oh my god, can I be bothered? But here goes Praise Shock. Praise Shock says, this is the guy from the other thread. I've remarked on this previously, and I'm going to do it again. Stop asking people to upvote your votes. Everyone's posts here get downvoted. So if you sort by new, you'll basically see that every post is sitting at 0. Everyone's gets downvoted. Classic Reddit. Literally everyone just gets downvoted when they post on this subreddit. Thanks, Reddit. Trying to clamber back to the top of the page goes against what we were trying to do as a community. To be clear, I'm not looking for a debate. Stop doing it or your future posts will be removed. If you want to be the spotlight, eBay is a thing. eBay is always an option, but I dislike it as you either charge insane prices or you get hit very hard by the cut they take. These posts let me charge things Charge things down for folks who enjoy the hobby while also not losing a huge percentage. Asking for votes is a bit weird, but it helps me keep going. Please, please, won't you help me? Won't you help me run my business online? Pretty sure I can see my last paragraph. OP says, I understand. Thank you. I'm asking for clarification. You are asking me to do something that could negatively impact me. Follow the rules, my guy? Crazy. This person is a mod. It's his forum, and he said that's pretty much the only reason you need. Also, it's bad form on Reddit. It's pretty cringe. Why won't you help me sell? Please. Please. It's a business. I'm trying to run a business, and you're stepping on my business, my ability to run a business. That's crazy, actually. This thread has been significantly more entertaining than I gave it credit for. That's very funny. The orange crate is pro painted. That's so funny. Wild. I actually messaged that dude about a post in August. He wanted way too much for it. Brutal. That's so funny. Sounds like there's a clear rule that all posts get voted to 0 to keep it fair, and he wants an unfair advantage. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And then the mod being like, hey, don't do this. It's against TOS, or whatever. Like it's against policies as a poster here. And he's like, but it might hurt me. But then I won't have an advantage over the other people. Crazy. That's actually wild. That was a lot more from that thread than I gave it credit for. Now, the one last thing I want to talk about here is this interesting thread. So I think there's probably, I think this news article has gone around for a while. I think it tangentially has a lot to do with the stuff we talked about today, right? So part of the big benefit of these FOMO, these releases, right? These new releases, is that they will oftentimes give you early access to things, to miniatures, and that's where a lot of their value comes from. However, it is the case that may soon be changing. And if you have not seen this yet, it's crazy. Now, this news article says this is a big nothing burger and you should ignore it. And I don't know if that's a serious title because I don't think that's the case at all. Here's what happened. Let's see if they have a picture of it. They do. When the Huron Blackheart model got previewed by Games Workshop, someone took the product photography and fed it through an LLM. And it spat out this model. Now, this is clearly AI generated if you look at it, right? It's got like the fucking fist on his shin is like super fucked up. I don't know what's going on with his castar and the belt. Like it doesn't have all the angles and it doesn't know what it's doing. However, from 3 feet away, you straight up could not tell that this was not Huron Blackheart, right? It obviously is not as nice as the real model. And that's, I think, true of basically all 3D printed miniatures. I'll go out on a limb saying I'm a huge proponent of 3D printing. I think it's super cool and fun. I think it's democratizing for the hobby. I think there's a lot of benefits to it. However, I do think that generally speaking, a 3D printed model, at least using today's technology, does not look as good and is not as resilient and is not as, doesn't hold a fine detail as well as a nice injection molded model a la Games Workshop. I think that's just the case. So if you want the quality sculpts, then you should buy them, I think. Right? I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. I prefer to play with my plastic miniatures I love my plastic miniatures. Here's my Nornamus Harry. I love so much that its tail broke off and I have to fix it. But I like them because I can just put them together and then, I don't have to worry about cleaning or fucking curing or all this bullshit. And then I just have the model and it's great. And if I drop it on the floor, it won't break. And the detail looks amazing and all this stuff. However, part of the thing that's fueling this sort of like FOMO mentality is the fact that people can't get access to these miniatures very quickly. And I think the 3D printing has clearly already changed that, and that is that's only happening more here because of this new potential pipeline that people can use, where they literally go through and can make a model based on product photography and have it the next day, right? It doesn't require, previously, like people would literally go in and they would either build a new model out of existing assets or they would physically sculpt a duplicate of new miniatures. I have a winged Tyranid Prime in my Tyranid army that is identical, just about. It's like there's like millimeter level detail that is slightly different to the plastic winged Tyranid Prime that came out when Leviathan dropped in 9th edition. Started 10th edition, excuse me. And I couldn't tell them apart for a while. I had the plastic one, and I was like, I might play 2 of them at one point. So I did. I think I did play 2 at one point because I played Vanguard Onslaught for an event. So I printed a second one, so I would have 2 to go with all my warriors. And I couldn't tell them apart. At one point, when I built my Harridan list, I picked up one to paint, and I didn't know if I had picked up the plastic one or the resin one. Straight up, this just happened. So I think one thing that's going to change this paradigm, and I don't really have a point here, besides making the point that this is happening. I think one thing that's going to change this paradigm is the fact that these early access models are going to have, there is going to be access to them much faster than we've ever seen before. Is that going to stop people from buying the original? I don't think so. Should it stop people from buying the original? I don't think so. But will it restrict the level of FOMO that people have? I think potentially likely. And so I don't know. I'm interested. I don't know what this article is talking about. By early January, photographs were circulating of a 3D printed facsimile. Some have suggested that this is radical and disruptive technology. I'm here to say that that's jack shit. How could you possibly say that? How can that possibly be the takeaway? That this means nothing? That's crazy. The downside I see to this, and I think that there's a huge downside to this particular thing happening. Literally, this model being produced, I think, is going to have a big change. There's going to be a big shift on in the industry, and I don't think it's a shift for the better, because what I think it encourages Games Workshop to do, especially, is limit the amount of product photography they reveal, which is obviously just like straight up anti-consumer. I think generally against this practice. I would say I'm explicitly against this practice. If you want to take a new miniature and you want to sculpt something that's very similar and then put it on fucking cults or whatever, I don't know. That is what it is, right? But if you want to feed this through an AI based on 2-dimensional photographs, the problem is that all that does is it convinces Games Workshop not to release those photographs. So right now, if we go to gamesworkshop.com and we look at a model, can we find a Huron model? We can find the nice spin. We'll look at the Reeve Captain. I'm sure Huron's on the thing. We have this cool spin. If you fed this into, literally for Tabletop Simulator, you use this spin to generate a 3D model. Now, the ones in Tabletop Simulator are fucked looking. You couldn't 3D print that and have it look good. But it creates the model and it creates the skin for it. You know what? Fair enough. We want to play with something that uses true line of sight or whatever. Perfect. Sounds good. It's not going to be a very helpful tool for 3D printing. However, if we took all these images and fed them through an AI, we could get something usable, and that is the case. So what I think it convinces Games Workshop to do is not release this, which fucking sucks, because these are cool. These get you hyped to buy the model, and you're like, look at this, all these cool details and shit. That's sweet. But if the issue is that releasing this photography cuts directly into their bottom line, they won't do it. they'll just release like cut apart images or whatever. And I think that sucks. So this takeaway that this guy has this article that means nothing blows my fucking mind. That's crazy. I think that they're for better or for worse, and mostly for worse. I think this is now a pipeline that exists and people can use, and people will use it. And I think it's going to change something. I don't know, chat. Wild. Pretty wild. Technology is getting better, cheaper, faster to use every year. Yeah. I had a really great conversation one time. This was years ago. This was 5-6 years ago, probably. And I sat down with one of the head honchos from Privateer Press, because we were all... Privateer Press was cool, because the company was so small, and then they were like so involved in their community that they were... I'm friends on Facebook with a lot of like the top brass from PP, and we would go out and hang out after events and stuff. And I had a great conversation with them where they said, and this was just before they moved to additive manufacturing for their models. Like, I don't know, probably 2-3 years before that. So it was probably on their minds at the time, right? To move away from spin casting into, and injection molding into additive manufacturing. And he said, like, just watch in whatever, 10, 20 years, you're going to have a device that can be like the size of your phone. And maybe it folds out or whatever, and you can put it on a desktop and you can just make a miniature right there. And I was like, that sounds crazy. That sounds like crazy sci-fi. And now look at this fucking thing. It's much bigger than my phone, but obviously it makes big things. And I just have that. And I have fucking 3 more downstairs. Like the pace that that additive manufacturing technology has taken in the last couple of years is crazy. And once you start to combine technologies like this, it's the game is going to change for sure. For sure. How that looks, I have no idea, but it's going to be insane. Saw someone do this with the new Defiler. He had it up the same day. Holy shit. Let's see if I can find it. Now, I don't think these look good, to be clear. Like I said, the details are all fucked. Oh, there it is, champ. Wild. That looks terrible. But there it is. Already there. Insanity. It's so fucked, dude. The details are so fucked. What is this? It's like going sideways. I don't even know. What is the head? Why does the head look like that? Doesn't matter. But I think like the people who 3D print their models, especially new release models, are not the people who care so much that the little chaos icon looks fucked, right? They're not like, they don't have that attention to detail. I saw so many at Everwinter. I saw so many Victrix Honor Guard that were either 3D scans or old or just resculpts of the old Victrix Honor Guard from like 4th edition, scaled up 10%, and then just 3D printed. I saw so many of those. And it was very clearly like just the guy with the 2D pose, right? The can we find them? We had them, put them on stream earlier. It was this boxed set, I think. This one. And I saw so many of these guys that were just 3D prints that were like scaled up a little bit so that they fit on the 40 mil. That were like dry brushed 3 times and slapped their ass and sent them out the door. And you know, that is what it is. So I think this stuff will see play, right? This is going to happen. The people who the people who just want to play the model in their army because it's good or whatever, they're just going to make this. And then, that's just how it's going to be. It's up to, an event to decide how they want to deal with that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. Yeah, it's so scuffed. Yeah, I think they look bad. I'm a big fan of attention to detail. I love 3D printing, but one of the reasons I love 3D printing is like the amount of customization you can do to your miniatures is really cool. I started on, I never finished it, but I printed out the demon princes and the vehicles and stuff. But I started on like a samurai themed Emperor's Children army. So I took like different samurai models, and then I would kit bash them with Chaos Space Marine stuff to give them all the backpacks and things. And then for my demon princes, I took like Oni, and then I sculpted in the like infernal cannons and the backpacks, and then like power cabling. I have one of them downstairs, and then I did like battle damage in them, and I sculpted all in Blender, and I was like so hyped about it. And then they nerfed Demon Princes, and I was like, eh. But that's like I think it's cool. I think it's cool and neat. I'm less interested in the stuff that just looks like shit. Even though, sometimes that's just what it is. Friend Owen 3D prints his whole army, so when a model dies, he throws it against the wall. Based. Absolutely the correct reason to 3D print your army. I do feel significantly less attachment to my 3D printed stuff for sure. If it breaks, I'm like, fuck it. My Ahriman broke. I have a plastic Ahriman, and he broke. His little staff broke because that model, I don't know how you keep that staff from breaking. And I was immediately like, I don't want to play this army ever again. It's ruined. The army's ruined. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. But anytime a 3D printed model breaks, I'm like, ugh, annoying, but I can make a new one. So much less is some emotional investment, which I guess is like, good and bad, but it is what it is. You want me to show you? I think the ones I have are downstairs. I could pull up the Blender file, I think. Assuming that Blender doesn't crash if I'm running it concurrently with a live stream. Blender's like the just fucking most insanely resource intensive piece of software. Let me go into my massive library of 3D sculpts I've made. I'm a terrible 3D sculptor. I'm in general not a good artist, but I do fucking love kit bashing online. Here's my stuff. Let me see if I can find it. I haven't opened these in a while. Here we go. I have found it. All right. So here's one of them. He's a big samurai guy. And then I gave him a Space Marine shoulder pad. And then I sculpted in all the battle damage by hand. And I built out the backpack. And I sculpted in all the battle damage in the backpack. I think the wings are from a Tyranid resculpt. And then I built this little bolter for his infernal cannon. And then I built all this cabling to go into the backpack. So that was one of them. And then I have another one, which is the same deal. I think I was going to make 3 so that if you ran 3 winged demon princes, they were all different, so you could tell them apart. I think I ended up making 2. I might have just flipped one when I printed them, or if I don't even know if I printed the last one. Here's the other one. So this one had like the big nose. Sometimes the samurai masks have the big nose, but I resculpted it to be like more like a skull. I feel like that was a little bit more on brand. And then I basically did the same thing. He had big shoulder pads, so I didn't have as much of a chance to add the Space Marine shoulder pad, but I added the gun. I weapon swapped him because he had katanas, but I added like demon swords basically that I had taken from another file and then retooled so that they worked with this guy. And then I did the same thing with the backpack and the wings and stuff. And then I was going to do all the tormentors and infractors and stuff. I was gonna do at least head swaps on them so that they had like little samurai helmets. I didn't do much for the vehicles. I just had like regular chaos rhinos, but I also added spikes everywhere. Actually, they're all spikeified up, which is big. Like I think he's got the knuckle spikes, which is new. That wasn't on the original model. I added some more, and I can't remember exactly where. Might have been the head spikes. I think those I might have added as well. I can't remember off the top of my head though. But I got really excited about the idea. I wanted to do Emperor Shadows, like Chaos Emperor Shadows, because I remember very distinctly when I was a kid, I saw these fuckers in a book, and I was like, "This is the coolest shit ever." I'm not even like that big of like a weeaboo kind of guy, but I just thought the color scheme was cool. Look at these guys, chat. I want to do this, but I wanted to make them Chaos Space Marines. Isn't that cool? That's a cool fucking army right there. They did all the the scripts and stuff. They got the teal and the red and the black. Oh, what a cool looking scheme, dude. Morty's cousin Bordy. Found a whole website that does bits for kit bashes and whole models. Details on those were nice. Like for individual kits, yeah. I remember. I think I still have some, but I used to get bits off Shapeways before. When I first started, like in Modern 40K, there was no way I was paying plastic prices for like individual weapon options and stuff. And so Shapeways, you used to be able to buy 3D prints. Like people just have libraries of 3D prints, and you could get them custom printed. And they went bankrupt. I didn't notice that. That's incredible. Holy shit. I was actually like, it was kind of an interesting thing because you would get a resin printer, and then basically you could like take out a contract with Shapeways, and it was almost like an Amazon distribution system, but for people printing. And like you would get an order, and then the closest Shapeways printer would like be served the order, and then they would fulfill it to you. And so you'd get them from like different people depending on like who had availability and like their print line. It was like kind of cool. But I got a bunch of like storm bolters and stuff printed, and like random bits and heavy weapons and things that like you'd have to buy a whole new kit for. That was 6 or 7 years ago. So well before 3D printers were as consumer friendly as they are right now, which is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy good. All right, chat. That's all I have to talk about. We covered a lot of stuff today. We covered a lot of stuff about scalping, how to prevent scalping, the answer to which I don't know. A little bit of AI generation stuff, a little bit of 3D sculpting, 3D printing stuff, some industry things. The industry is it's definitely changing, and it's curious to see where we're at. I'm working with a concept artist right now. We're designing some new miniatures, which I'm very excited about. I don't know what we're gonna do with them. Right now, we are at a design sort of stage. However, I don't know if we're going to make a game or anything, and I don't know how we're going to fulfill them, because we could. The open question is that like any new project, I think, has to ask itself, if it's big enough, you probably go with plastic injection molding, right? I think that's just like the highest bang for your buck. But the problem is the setup costs are crazy. So if you don't have that amount of overhead, I think that you're like the correct answer. The platonic ideal is to do some sort of like 3D printing, whether that's you sell 3D prints or you sell 3D printed miniatures. And I think that's just like where the industry's headed. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. It's an interesting time. What a time to be alive, chat. Have I just talked about the StarCraft Wargame stuff? I have a little bit. Yeah, we took a read through of the beta rules on on Twitch like a week or two ago. I think I want to go through and do like a whole reading of it. I did not realize that the game is just alternating activation. It was a little bit hard to parse the beta rules because I think a lot of it was like sort of like ad hoc kind of stapled together. Now that they have their actual rule book out for their game found, let's go. We'll pull it up while we're here. I have to go through and actually read it. But I mean, I've been following the project quite a bit since it was first announced. StarCraft is like when I was a little kid. I mean, literally, I think, yeah. I still got. Oh, you can't see it from here. No, you can see it from here. That's just my fucking Wings of Liberty collector's box right there. When I was in high school, that shit was fucking. It ruled. I was like, when I was a little kid, my friends and I, like I was in elementary school, my friends and I would play StarCraft 1 on LAN. We would have LAN parties. We'd all like carry over our big fucking huge chunky 25-pound IBM laptops and like tootle around with OG StarCraft 1 because you could play it like up to 8 people in one Wi-Fi network, and you had to connect to people with like using their IP address. It was crazy. It was like so much more difficult than it is now. So like StarCraft has always been a big part of my life, and then as soon as they announced this game, I was like, oh boy. Yeah. And it's so high effort. That's the crazy thing about it. It's so high effort. It's like wild. I think a lot of these games they drop out. Halo Flashpoint. And they just drop, and they're like a copy pasta of an existing system. Basically every Halo game ever made, I would say. Unfortunately, and then they just like they drop like a rock. But fuck, man, they pulled out all the plugs for this, and I don't know what the longevity of it is, but it is gonna make a splash. There's no way it doesn't. It's also like intelligently designed. There's a lot of really, really cool design tropes in it. I do appreciate the fact they literally took the Star Wars Legion system for missions, which is so funny. It's straight up just copying Star Wars Legion. In fact, a lot of this game copies Star Wars Legion. To be clear, this game is Star Wars Legion StarCraft Edition with a lot of unique things. It's not identical, but there's a lot. But I've always talked about how this is one of the smartest and most interesting mission structures ever designed in a miniature game, and no one fucking uses it because balancing it is impossible. However, I think it's pretty cool if you can figure out a way to balance it in an interesting way that makes sense. I think that's rad. I think the miniatures are phenomenal. They use clear plastic in a way I've never seen anyone do before, where kits are multi-sprue. Well, they will have clear plastic parts and opaque parts so that you can have clear elements, because that's like a big part of StarCraft is like, obviously because it's originally an RTS, it's like the effects and things. So like they have fucking muzzle flares and like, transparent visors and stuff. Like that's so cool. The tough part is, I think the competition is tough. The competition's tough. It's an aging franchise. I don't know if you have the market share for StarCraft as much as you did, 10 years ago. If this dropped 10 years ago, 40K'd be cooked. Just like in the middle of 7th edition, they just dropped this shit, you're dead. There's no way. But nowadays, it's a little bit tougher. But, I mean, they knocked it out of the park, dude. So, I don't know. We'll probably do a read-through, and we'll have to talk about it at greater length. Probably on Twitch. I don't know if it's worth like a whole video on the YouTubes here, but almost certainly on Twitch. We'll do a discussion about it. Necron rods were clear. Oh yeah, that's true. Necron green rods were classic, chat. They were so they were so cool. That's true. The world is not open. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, chat. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on here. I would be interested. I don't think I have the bandwidth for another miniature game, but man, I wish I did. Limited number of units they would feasibly make. Yeah, so like the big question is like there's like a little bit of expanded universe stuff that they could like jump into. if they wanted to, where there's like more human factions in the sector, right, than just the Dominion or the Confederacy, whichever one, like depending on the time zone. But like there's not a lot, and you could do like there's a lot of sub-factionation in the game. The game like leans super heavy into sub-factions, which I think like builds a lot of interesting variety. So like if you play Marines, you could play like Dominion or Rangers Raiders or like all the other little factions, and I think that's that opens up it quite a bit. The other direction that they could go in is they start to explore the cooperative stuff from the RTS. So like this is all really baseline like shit, but they did a lot of custom work either in the for like offshoots in the campaign setting, but also for the cooperative mode where you have like a special commander and they give you special units. So like it's not like you're limited strictly to the stuff that's available in like the esports mode of the game. There is a lot more in StarCraft than just that. That said, there's not a lot more, right? There's not like a ton. And I'd be worried that that's the limiting factor for this game is like, what do you do after we release everything from all the co-op? We're 3 or 4 years down the road, and we've explored that stuff, and we've explored the fucking like the Nova missions and all that stuff. Like, where do we go from there? And a lot of it depends on, does the Adept have boobs? Just noticing that. Do they have boobs in the RTS? I don't think they do. Where did that come from? Oh, they do like a little bit, but I don't think that's anatomically how Protoss work. I don't think Protoss have breasts, shit. But I guess they are. They do be like that, kinda. Interesting. Interesting. I didn't notice that until just now. But this is like the main character, Lady Protoss. She doesn't have any breasticles. Where do those come from? Interesting. I did not just notice that. That's funny. Those are some big chonkers, though. Oh boy. How are you gonna phase around with that hanging off you? Pretty wild. We've arrived at late 10th edition content for sure. Yeah, they caught me off guard. Yeah. Anyway, I'm curious. I think part of it too is like, and we had a little bit of a discussion about this on Twitch. I don't know, obviously, and it's obviously like hidden. It's internal data. I don't know what the level of control that Blizzard maintains over this, over their license. I have a suspicion that Archon Games, the people making this game, might have a lot of like say in what they get to what they get to make, because I don't what the fuck are we doing with the StarCraft IP these days? Who cares, right? So like I bet that there is with corporate approval that there is a universe where we start to see unique things get added to the miniature game that were not ever in the video games. You could also go backwards too, right? Like you could add stuff from StarCraft 1 into this game as well. I bet that there's a universe where that happens too. Like some of this is like from StarCraft 2. Like this is the Goliath from StarCraft 2, which was in StarCraft 1 and was, to my knowledge, not playable in StarCraft 2 outside of campaign missions. But like you could go back and you could do like the old version of the Goliath, which looks very different. You could do the like the Protoss Reaver. You could do some funny stuff. I think too, the starter stuff they're doing here, I like that they have buildings. I think that's kind of neat. They have like, you can build pylons. They require additional pylons. But you could go bigger too, where they do like tanks and colossi and stuff like that, where it just like expands out, because it hits like the medium units right now, but it doesn't really get much bigger than that. But once you start to get into the really big heavy stuff, it might I don't know how big they want to go, because it could be very like scale intensive for the game, but Could be a direction. If you can't make an all pylon army. Yeah, what they should have done is done a cannon to go with the pylon, and then the goal is you have to deploy the pylon really early so you can build the cannons in your opponent's deployment zone. That's the whole goal. We also only have sentries but no probes. How are we going to probe rush people? What the fuck, chat? Anyway, folks, I think that officially rounds us out of the discussion here. Is there a size comparison against 28mm? I don't know, actually. I think these models are significantly larger. I get the feeling that these are big. Let's see if there's a... I'm sure someone has a picture from a convention somewhere. The crazy thing about this is I remember when this got originally revealed, and I was going to be like, wow, you've missed the boat on that one, guys. And I was 100% expecting like a Halo Flashpoint cash grab. This release, by the way, makes Halo Flashpoint look like so much dog shit. It's crazy. I will take every opportunity I can to rag on that game because it's like it's an embarrassment of a game. But like this is fucking wild. The comparison between the two is so stark, it's insane. I can't find a scale comparison. Oh, here we go. So here's one of Zerichul. They say he's 90mm. So he's probably on a 30mm base. If he's 90mm to the top of his cloak, I bet it's 40k scale. It's a good question, though. The miniatures look very large and chunky, but I don't know if they're that big. Oh, here's a picture from On Tabletop. They have a picture of gameplay. Well, they're pretty chunky. I bet they're 32mm, but like the game is like for like this the scale of things in StarCraft is like super fucked because they rescale like the actual scale, like the in-universe scale of things quite a bit to follow the gameplay of the tabletop or of the RTS more. Like you can't have battle cruisers being like as big as they are in universe because they would literally be the size of the entire map, right? And so they do like scale. They scale on a curve a lot of times. And I think this is like pretty reasonable. It looks like the models are on 32s or 40s. So they're probably a little bit bigger than 40k models. It's probably that like a human is the same size as it would be in 40k, but because everyone's in a fucking power armor suit, which is like actually like legitimately enormous. The power armor in 40k makes Space Marine power armor, or the power armor in StarCraft makes Space Marine power armor look like you're wearing a wetsuit. They're probably significantly larger. These are like actual exoskeletons. Like they're big. They're like big like load lifters from Aliens or whatever. If you're not familiar with StarCraft, then you wouldn't understand it, I guess. Go watch the StarCraft 2 announcement trailer. It shows you how fucking huge a Terran Marine is. Battle Cruisers would be insane. Yeah. Have you ever seen? There's mods that true scale everything for StarCraft, and it's fucking crazy. Like it just creates huge problems because like capital ships just like clip through your camera. You can't see them anymore. They're too big. Which always it gives me a laugh. It's fun to watch them every once in a while. They already got sold at Eschenspiel? Huh. Well, there's one picture. Zericho might be on a 50, it looks like. That's the only size comparison I can find, though. At least on Google. But the Protoss are really big, so I don't know. I imagine maybe the infantry are around like 40s. I can't wait to pay hundreds of dollars just to get cannon rushed. Yeah. I'm gonna get proxy barracks. No. My opponent, Judge. My opponent's 8 pooling. Is this allowed? Incredible. Anyway, chats, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I appreciate you. I'm going to send you all over to the Everwinter, or not Everwinter, Jesus Christ. That was a while ago. The Ides of March stream. That's going to be happening this weekend. I'm leaving Friday morning, or first thing Friday morning to go set up. Please come hang out with me for that. That's an 80-person event, golden ticket event with some really fucking insane players there. So, yeah, I'm going to be streaming that all weekend, and then I'm gonna be vibing for a week. Next week, I think the content is going to be fairly light because basically I'm gonna be traveling back from Ides of March, and then almost immediately the following weekend I have to prep and travel to Adepticon. So like basically early the following week we have to go to Adepticon. So I think next week I'm gonna lie low a little bit and I'm gonna do some Adepticon prep work. And then I imagine post-Adepticon is going to be fucking crazy because I am a sneaking suspicion we're going to get some big announcements there. So that is what to expect from me. So I don't believe I will not commit to any live stream shows next week. I will probably be back for Warhamster Wednesday, but only if I end up having the time because I think there's a not unreasonable chance I'm not back for a couple of days. So, at the very least, I'll see you over on Twitch. Probably just like normal scheduled Twitch stuff, but I'll see you on stream, obviously, this coming weekend. And then, post-Adepticon is probably when I'll be back. I will enjoy the beautiful Maine. Absolutely. If it's as fucking hot in Maine as it is here, it's going to be gorgeous, but I imagine it's going to be cold. So yeah, please come hang out with me for the Ides of March stream. I'm very excited to stream that event again. As always, I'm very glad they asked me back for the 3rd year in a row of Ides of March, which is phenomenal. And I hope you have a good time and stuff. So I'll see you there. Cheers, everyone. Keep it classy, folks. I'll see you in the next stream.